medium family SUVs, well, how about choosing between these two? On my left, you've got the Renault Koleos. Been around for a while, just got facelifted very recently. So it's looking very neat, very smart. You've got your deep front spoiler, you've got the fog lights, you've got your LED headlights, daytime running lights, all those kind of features on that one. You come across to the Citroen C5 Aircross. Slim line headlights, daytime running lights, the orange outline on the front bumper over here, just to make it very distinctive, very Citroen, of course. You can't exactly miss it. These are two cars that are so similar, but so different in so many, many ways. They both ride on 18-inch mag wheels. Distinctive, different, but good-looking wheels on both of them. You've got mirrors that fold when you turn off and when you lock the car. You've got all these kind of features. Did I mention orange trim on the Citroen? On the roof racks, even down here, look at this on the door. On the skid plate, you can call it, protection down at the bottom of the door over there. You've got the orange trim there again. You take a look, let's look at the Citroen first, simply because we're right here. And you open the back door, and you'll see very nice space in the back seat over here. Room definitely for 3 in the back. This is a nice medium SUV, I repeat. And you can see the space over there. You close that one up, and to compare, you look at the Renault, which you can see also provides you lots of room in the back seat. You've even got 2 USBs down there in the back seat as well, and a 12-volt charger unit for the back seat. So they've all got their little features. They've all got lots of room and lots of space, and these are features that make a very, very big difference. You come round to the back, and seeing as we are here, let's start with the Koleos again. And you've got under here a full-size spare wheel for a change. Good feature. You've got about 330 litres of boot space, and note the fact you do have ISOFIX for a child seat. Then another addition on the facelift of the Koleos, you press button, close boot. Skid plate effect over here at the back. You've of course got reverse cameras, you've got parking beepers, and very importantly, this is the top of the range. It's the 4-wheel drive version. Very, very important. Cross to the Citroen again. Very similar size boot, 330, 340 litres of space, and underneath, again, a full-size spare wheel. ISOFIX again. All these things. And you really do have to suffer on the Citroen, because you've got to close the rear hatch manually. Unusual squared off. Note the squared theme all the time on the Citroen. So you've got the squared rear tail lights. You've got that little effect over here. You've got everything over there, rear parking beepers, cameras, all those features as well. You've got nice big spoiler over the back as well. As I said, so similar, but so different. But two very, very strong contenders, of course, in this medium SUV category, if you don't just want to go with the crowd and buy what everyone else is buying. These are two left field choices. Let's see what they like inside. Inside the Renault Koleos, let's start with the usual, and that's the figures. You see that 8.1 litres per 100? That's an overall figure that we've achieved on 540.2 kilometers on this test. 8.1 litres per 100. What I can also tell you is that on our fuel run, which I did, we actually got down to 7.0 litres per 100. So that's a pretty impressive figure for a vehicle of this size. You come down over here and I want to show you, I said to you that this is the 4-wheel drive version. That's the button over there if you want to go into 4-wheel drive mode. Quite honestly, haven't used it at all. You've of course got your multifunction steering wheel, you've got cruise control, you've got all those sort of features over here as per normal. You come across to the center over here and you've got your center screen, nice tablet form center infotainment screen, which gives you everything you want, of course. It's on radio, you've got navigation, you've got all the settings you can possibly want, and you can go into on home. There's also the settings there, for example, to switch on and off blind spot alert, which of course comes up in your side mirrors, etc. Speed alert settings is a bit of a pain at times, quite honestly, because that's the one that beeps at you every time the car deems you are exceeding a speed limit. You come down over here, interesting button there, Eco. This car has an Eco mode, which I found interestingly, it actually defaults into Eco mode when you start the car, and you have to switch it out to go into the standard sportier mode. Doesn't make all that much difference though. You come down, you've got two USBs in front as well. I showed you the two at the back earlier, and over here the gear shift. Remembering the Koleos is powered by a CVT gearbox. No complaints generally, we know CVTs, and then of course over here you've got the electronic parking brake. Full leather trim on the interior, nice stitching, contrasting stitching, and you can see the nice effect, little bit of fake wood over here on the dash. It's not soft touch anywhere, but it's certainly very good quality, feels very good. Now what I've left for last, of course, is the engine. This version of the Koleos, well in fact all versions sold in South Africa presently, are powered by a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. Puts out 126 kilowatts, 233 newton meters of torque. Sounds fair, but this car is screaming out for a turbo diesel engine. The gearbox, I'm prepared to, I know lots of people complain and moan about CVTs, not an issue. But this engine gearbox combination, remembering that the Koleos is based on the Nissan X-Trail platform, and they've got a diesel available, so why they're not putting it into this one, I'm failing to understand. But what you do end up with is the 2.5, as I said, it needs a turbo, or it needs something like that, because it's a little bit slow, a little bit sluggish, or should I call it relaxed. But certainly there isn't that instant response that we're all becoming used to from turbos these days, whether they're diesel or petrol turbos. It makes such a very, very big difference to the cars and to the way they behave. So that is the one thing that I've got to say. Other than that, you've got electric adjustment on the driver's seat, you've got all the features you want and all the comfort you want, and priced at 540,000 Rand right now. It's certainly a lot of car for the money. It includes a 4-year 60,000 kilometer service plan as well, and you do get the Renault 6-year 150,000 kilometer warranty added on top. Nice family SUV, yes. Compare it to that one? Well, let's check out the Citroen, and then we can make our conclusions and draw our conclusions. Stepping over to the Citroen, you can see something very French, very different about this, and it certainly shows itself very, very clearly. Well, let's start with fuel economy. We did our economy run in this one, and we got 6.6 litres per 100, and we're averaging 6.9 litres per 100 so far on this test. So quite a bit more economical, I've got to admit. The Citroen, of course, is powered by a 1.6 litre petrol turbo. There's your difference. 121 kilowatts and 330 newton meters of 230 newton meters of torque. Very, very big difference. You've got your dashboard over here that's configurable, and you can change. You press the button and it changes the settings, and it just does various things. You can see you got minimum, you got dials, you got driving. You press buttons, you change things as you want them, and you can certainly fiddle around to quite an extent with what you're doing over here. You've got flappy paddles behind the steering wheel this time. You've of course got multifunction steering wheel, you've got cruise control, you've got all the normal controls over there as well. So it's very similar over there. You come across to the center in this one, and you'll notice the screen a little bit different in certain ways, and I'll tell you why I say that is because if you go over there and you have a look, you've got your SMS, you've got your phone over here, you've got, it says navigation, but then you'll see this car does not have navigation. You've got to, of course, use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in order to get which one of those you want, but again, not serious, and you can do whatever you want on the screen over there. You come down to the center over here, and you have got a USB, a 12 volt over there. There's a sport button over here, which I must be honest, I haven't used as yet. And there's your stop-start button, sort of a little bit hidden away, but obviously originally designed for left-hand drive. You come to the pistol-type gear shift over here, and again, another big difference between these two contenders. This is a standard 6-speed automatic, not a CVT this time round. And as I said, manual mode, you can play with the paddles if you want. Electronic parking brake, very similar again. You've got your aluminium type pedals over there. You've got the combination leather and cloth trim on the seats. And then, of course, you've got the unusual Citroen luggage effect on the dashboard over here with a slightly rolled effect, which seems to be common to some of the Citroen models. On the Shine version, which is the top model in the range, you do get quite a few extra features as well. One of which is a panoramic sunroof over there, obviously with the blind which opens or closes. That's pretty simple. But then what I do like on the Shine version on the C5 Aircross is the fact there is extra safety spec as well. What do I mean? Well, you've got, of course, blind spot warning in your mirrors, but you've got the active braking, what they call city braking. If you look over here, you can see a little sign showing the car in the center over there, and I can tell you that if you're on the freeway and somebody cuts in front of you, unfortunately you can't show it to you now, but it says vehicle close across over there when there's somebody close, before it hits the brakes automatically, but when it's trying to warn you as to what could be going on. But it's got that, of course, that city braking they call it, which is an active braking feature. Something I found strange on this car was, I showed you the buttons on the steering wheel, but you've also got little press buttons on the end of the stalks for certain of the controls. It took me a little while to work out what was going on. Being typically French, I've got to mention something to you. The Citroen has a much softer ride, which is the typical French ride. So you do get a little bit of the rock and roll when you're trying to go around corners a little bit faster. But just remember the fact this is a medium family SUV. So is that a point to complain about? Well, only you can decide that. At 520,000 Rand right now, well, that's why I'm comparing the two cars, because they are so close to each other in price, in space, in everything that they offer, that it really is an interesting decision and choice. Which one? Well, I don't know, but let's just take another look on the outside. So, interesting choices, interesting times. You've got the French Renault with its somewhat Japanese along the way roots, which gives you the slightly harder ride, slightly flatter ride, but as I said, crying out for a different engine. Or you come across to this side and you've got the real French, the French touch, the French flair, the color, the orange, all those sort of items over there with that lovely little 1.6 turbo petrol engine and features like that, but softer and a bit of the rock and roll when you go around corners. Which one would you choose? I don't know. If I've got to sum up, there's one factor that would make me decide here instead of here. And if this is a boxing match, I'd give a narrow points victory on this side, purely because the extra safety spec, that active safety, the active braking, the city braking, etc. That to me has become so vital and so important in our market these days that on points, very narrow, split decision, the Citroen C5 Aircross. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor, and I'll see you next time.